And I talked to my daughter last night, and the book should arrive today or tomorrow. The Self-Heal by Design. We've got 2 boxes. So I'm going to have little breaks to allow for the translation. There's a couple of things that I have questions on, and I'd like to pursue a little bit more in the stomach area. And one is the digestive tea that I mentioned. We effectively call it Ig tea, and this is the tea that will boost the hydrochloric acid. So it's 1 part dandelion, so this is the root, and 1 part licorice. And licorice is an emollient. An emollient means it can coat and soothe the lining. And it's 1 part gentian. And gentian is a root, very bitter herb, and 1/2 part golden seal. And golden seal is very bitter, and its nickname is king of tonics to all mucous membranes. And you mix all that together, they're all roots, and as roots they need a gentle simmer. And it's usually 1 teaspoon of this herb and 1 teaspoon of fresh ginger. And that's 2 cups of water, and because they're roots, they need a gentle simmer for, say, 10 minutes. And what we do at Misty Mountain, we'll make up about 2 cups of it, and then that'll last maybe 4 days, you keep it in the fridge. And just before each meal, everyone takes a 1/4 cup of that hot. So the heat and the bitterness of the herbs boosts the release of the digestive enzymes.
This will be in your new book also?
Yeah. That's also in Self-Heal by Design in the liver chapter. And you've possibly heard the old saying, sweet to the mouth, bitter to the stomach, bitter to the mouth, sweet to the stomach, bitter to the mouth, sweet to the liver. All your best liver herbs are very bitter. So another question was Helicobacter pylori. What is Helicobacter pylori? And it is claimed that it causes stomach ulcers. You've heard that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, germs don't cause disease, remember? They're the result. They're the result of health conditions. So let me show you what happens with Helicobacter pylori. That's the lining of the stomach. And it's got a thick mucosal wall over it. And if someone's dehydrated, not a lot of mucosal lining. So in dehydration, there'll be very thin lining. And when there's thin lining, the acid can easily burn holes in the wall. Do you remember yesterday I showed you the bacteria in the clean-up tea? They're the garbage collectors. So student, what's going to clean up the damage from the acid burning in the hole? Bacteria. And in the stomach, the bacteria that cleans it up is called Helicobacter. Helicobacter pylori. And if the antibiotic's taken, it'll kill off the Helicobacter pylori. But if the damage remains, more Helicobacter pylori comes along. So if you don't turn the tap, you're still going to be mopping up to the other corner. So we had a guy who came to our retreat with this, and 5 months with a different antibiotic every month, still had Helicobacter pylori. Is it working? No. It kills it off, but because the damage is still there, what's happening? More microorganisms evolve into the cleanup. And what this man was doing, he was drinking at least 3 cups of water with every meal. But God designed the body with this strong hydrochloric acid. It will kill off Helicobacter pylori. So what we did with this man, we showed him the importance of drinking between meals. And when he started to drink between meals, that glass of water before every, half an hour before every meal, that thickens the mucosal lining on the stomach. And because he wasn't watering down his hydrochloric acid anymore, the hydrochloric acid came along and wiped out Helicobacter pylori. It's as simple as that. So we had a girl coming back to Pomeroy, and they had her on antacids. To make it simple. I always say, I have no authority over your medication, which I don't. And you and your doctor too. If it was me, I would stop the antacids. Start taking the digestive tea before every meal. Drink between meals. Now this man who'd been on a different antibiotic every month for 5 months, he'd had stomach pain for 25 years. And by the end of the week he had no pain. So it can be that simple.
Barbara, do you know what causes like a chronic diarrhea? Like as soon as you eat quickly, you just have this cramps and it just goes right to diarrhea.
So what causes the chronic diarrhea? We'll have to put our detective hat on and investigate.
Ah, okay.
Have to investigate when it began. I've investigated what helps, what doesn't. Remember what you have to do is listen. So what can you do for stomach ulcer? Stomach ulcer. There's a herb that coats, soothes and heals the lining of the gut. It's called slippery elm. Slippery elm is the powdered bark of the slippery elm tree. It's an American tree, so it's easier for you guys to buy it than anywhere else in the world. And when you put slippery elm with water, it goes thick. When you call it slippery. Do you remember I said there was a lady who her esophagus was ulcerated from years and years of acid coming out? We gave her the slippery elm because that coats, soothes, and heals the lining of the gut. So as we move down out of the stomach, through the pyloric sphincter, and into the duodenum is the first part of the small intestine. And the duodenum is an alkaline environment.
It's the what side?
Alkaline environment. See, the only part of our body that should be acid is stomach. That's all. Then you can see why it has to be acid to produce the pepsin to break down the protein. And I gave you the story of my son and all his workmates on the job site with having a swig of digestive tea before they eat their meal. Now, there's a lot happening here in the duodenum. So we've got the liver, and underneath is the gallbladder. The gallbladder is a reservoir to hold the bile, but it is the liver that makes the bile. So the enzyme that the liver makes is bile, and bile is the enzyme that breaks down unsaturated fat. So the saturated fat, remember, is broken down in the mouth. So your unsaturated fats, they're found in a lot of your nuts and your seeds. And that's broken down. Well, what the bile does is it breaks it down into tiny particles. So what can someone do if their gallbladder's been taken? If the gallbladder's been taken, you will still be able to digest fats, because remember, it's the liver that makes the bile. The common bile duct is the duct that comes out of the gallbladder, but if that's been taken, then that bile duct goes straight into the liver. So ideally, we keep our gallbladder. Now the pancreas does quite a few things. One thing it makes is sodium bicarbonate. And the reason it makes sodium bicarbonate is to ensure that the duodenum is alkaline. Because the enzymes that are released in the duodenum need an alkaline environment. The pancreas releases pancreatic lipase, and that further breaks down the unsaturated fat. The pancreas also releases pancreatic amylase. Now, do you remember starch digestion began in the mouth under salivary amylase? Well, this is pancreatic amylase, and it finalises starch digestion. So the starch digestion began in the mouth, put on hold in the acid environment of the stomach, and revived again in the duodenum. Trypsin, there are two trypsins. There's trypsin, chymotrypsin. Some would call it the trypsin family. They finalise protein digestion. Now, protein digestion, remember, it began in the stomach, finalised in the duodenum by trypsin family. Proteolytic enzymes are enzymes that break down protein. Proteolytic enzyme is pepsin, and the trypsins. So these are the two proteolytic enzymes. The pepsin and the trypsins. Sorry, these names are getting quite complicated for the translator. Sorry, they're complicated words.
Yeah.
So a proteolytic enzyme is an enzyme that breaks down protein. So trypsin, the trypsins and the pepsins, they're proteolytic enzymes. And God in His wisdom and mercy, He puts the proteolytic enzymes in foods. And the core of the pineapple contains bromelain. And the papaya or the pawpaw contains papain. These are also proteolytic enzymes. Now you don't have to eat the whole core of a pineapple every meal, but when you slice a pineapple and then you slice it into little little sections like we do, keep a little bit of the core in every slice. And it's easy to eat like that. You can't eat a whole core, but a little bit with every slice, that's easy. Now we don't suggest black pepper, because black pepper is an irritant to the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. But there's a great alternative. Save the seeds from the papaya. Wash them, dry them. Literally, put them in your black pepper one. No one will know. Maybe they'll know it and taste it. But it has a real bite to it. And it's a wonderful digestive aid. Yes, the aid. Now, can you see, students? Now think about this for a moment. Which organ is the main organ of digestion in our body?
Stomach.
Pancreas. Pancreas. I used to think all our food's digested in the stomach, but it isn't. Is it? What's the problem? So what I'm giving you here is just the basic anatomy and physiology of the gastrointestinal tract. And most people are surprised that some of the foods begins in the mouth. Remember, it just begins in the mouth. If someone has pancreatic cancer or pancreatitis, they don't usually live long.
I'm sorry, what was that part?
They don't usually live long
Carcinoma.
because they die from malnutrition. Can you see why? Because if you can't finalise the digestion of your foods, it can't get out of your gut and in your blood. And if it's not in the blood, it can't get to the cell. So the person, sometimes I find a matter of weeks. Once every day.
Are there early symptoms to know that something's going off with the pancreas so that you don't wait?
Well, that's what most people don't do, is listen. Your body will tell you if there's a problem. And how many people just live with bloating? Just live with discomfort. As soon as there's a sign, you go and grip it. And how do you know what works? Well, I can promise you your body will tell you. It'll say, I've just got a little bit of sore neck here, so I had my friend Jacqueline, massaging bits. She got to the point where I said, that's it, that bit there, that bit there. Who told me that bit there? My body. And she said, yeah, I can feel the knot. Just a very simple illustration of your body will tell you. From a young age, we've been taught to give all our health over to the doctor. People are getting disillusioned because the drugs may mask the symptoms, but they don't heal. Have you noticed? So now they've decided to make a change, and they want to give all their health over to naturopath. But that's not the way God designed our body to work. He designed us with an intelligence and an ear to listen. But most people don't know what to do, so I'm not sure. But hopefully by the end of this week, you'll know what to do. You may not know what to do, but you're going to try a few things. Yeah? And as the body responds, it will tell you. your body will tell you what to do. Do you remember those two systems I showed you yesterday? One's based on faith, and one's based on fear. I would like to suggest that about 90% of people that go to the emergency room go out of fear. And this is why in Australia, before I was banned, 4 doctors would get into their town and teach this to cut down emergency visits. So these doctors knew that most admissions are really not necessary. But of course, they're seen because the people don't know what to do. So the education that you're receiving this week, isn't it the most important? Knowing how to look after the body, what its needs are. So let me give you a scenario here. This is protein, and pepsin breaks down the protein to peptides and polypeptides. It's the first breakdown that happens in the stomach, and when the peptides and the polypeptides come into the duodenum, the trypsins break the peptides down to amino acids. And the polypeptide down to peptides and amino acids, and then the peptide down to amino acids. And only as amino acids can it be absorbed out of the gut and into the blood. But let me show you what's happening a lot. Because a person's drinking their meals, or eating every couple of hours, and eating the largest meal at the end of the day and stressed all the time, some of the protein doesn't get broken down. And then that protein gets down into the duodenum, and the duodenum says, what are you doing here? And protein says, well, they're eating all that long, they're drinking with their meals, and they're stressed out, etc., etc., etc. The trypsin says, we'll do what we can. But it can only break it down to peptides and polypeptides. And our food should all be absorbed into the blood halfway down the small intestine. But peptide and polypeptide, they can't be absorbed into the blood. Only amino acids can. And there are no other enzymes any further down. So peptide and polypeptide come into the colon. And the colon says, what are you doing here? And it gives the same story. And the colon says, well, we'll do the best we can, and all it can do is create bacteria, try and work on it. And that creates a lot of methane gas. And so that gas, of course, comes out the other end, and that protein ends up coming out, and we were never able to access it. So coming down the gastrointestinal tract, we're now coming to the grand finale of digestion. And lining the small intestine are villi. And up the middle of the villi are lymphatic vessels. And all through the villi is the blood. And remember, anything that's in the gut is not part of us until it gets out of the gut and into the blood. And as I mentioned this yesterday, when we were in our mother's utero, our gut was sterile. There was no bacteria there. And when our mothers, when we were born, we breathed in and swallowed our mother's gut flora. Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride, she calls it the turf that lines our gut. And you might remember what we looked at yesterday. This bacteria is responsible for the final breakdown of some of our foods, specifically the B vitamins. Because as you see, with all these enzymes are actually break our food down, but it's this gut flora that causes a release of the B vitamins. The gut flora is responsible not only for that breakdown, but also for the absorption of the nutrients out of our gut and into the blood. The gut flora are responsible for the final breakdown, for the absorption, for protecting the blood against any harmful pathogens that may get in the gut, and the gut flora nourishes the cells that line the gastrointestinal tract. So you can see that that gut flora is very, very important. There's a term that's thrown around quite a lot today. It's called leaky gut. Heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
So what's leaky gut? If you ask someone what is leaky gut, they usually can't tell you. It's like if someone asks you what your immune system is, they often can't tell you. But these are terms that are used for everything. Isn't that true? So if someone says, I've got leaky gut, I say, congratulations. What is that? So I'm always intrigued, what is it? What's leaky gut? Well, when you look at the term leaky gut, something's leaking in. Do you know what that means? The gut flora is compromised. It's not there. Can't find any reason why. I'll have to put it down here, sorry. One's up the back. Why? There's always a reason. Nothing happens for no reason. So what would cause a killing off or a breakdown of our gut flora? Antibiotics. In fact, one writer said that taking an antibiotic is like dropping an atomic bomb in the gastrointestinal tract. And unfortunately, many doctors are too free with giving the antibiotic. But remember what you can say. Thank you so much for your advice. I'll seriously consider this. And maybe as you walk out, it just slips into the trash can. I believe antibiotics can save lives, but they should be kept as last resorts. Yeah?
Have you dealt with anybody that has been diagnosed with small intestinal bacterial overgrowth?
Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Why would that be? It would be because the balance has been thrown. And what causes the balance to be thrown? Antibiotics. See, antibiotics just have this one set mind, killing. They're like robots. Drugs are like robots. It's just, I've got a job to do whether you need it or not. And that's the antibiotic they kill. They kill the good and the bad. So they kill the good bacteria. And what we've got in our gut is this delicate balance of candida yeast and bacteria. So you kill the bacteria, what's the yeast going to do? What's an antibiotic made from? Balance. So when an antibiotic goes in, it kills off the good and it feeds the yeasts. So that causes exactly what this imbalance.
Are there other causes when someone doesn't take antibiotics that have this?
Are there other causes? There certainly are. There certainly are. So we'll have a look at what kills off the good flora. One is antibiotics and another is statin drugs. Yeah.
So do you have any other recommendations for someone who's been on antibiotics for a long extended period of time and other than just taking probiotics, what about
So if someone's on long-term antibiotics, and I'm not pretty good because you just don't know what you've gone to the authorities, and the authorities have suggested this, but I have to tell you, I think it's criminal to put a human being on long-term antibiotic use. And I'm not saying the doctors are criminal, I'm just saying those that taught him are. So who taught him? The pharmaceutical company.
Barbara, is there, when someone isn't on any drugs, doesn't take any drugs, but is having these symptoms of leaky gut or issues with?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Okay, good.
Sorry,
Thank you. I didn't want you to move on.
Okay,
Thank you.
so we've got antibiotics. Well, yep, they'll kill it off. What's happening here is this: statin drugs. And how many people go on statin drugs because they're told if they don't, they'll have a heart attack. So why have they gone on the statin drugs? I think I can poke this in here. It's fear. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's why you're here.
How do you define statin drugs? What's that mean?
Cholesterol-lowering medication. When we look at heart in a couple of days, you'll get the truth on heart disease. No, I don't think doctors lie. I don't think they're unethical. I think most of them are ethical. It's just the pharmaceutical company teaches. So what else causes the breakdown? Long-term painkiller use. So long-term painkiller use also kills it off. Also refined sugar. And God has given us such wonderful sweeteners like maple syrup and honey. We don't need to have the refined sugar. The refined sugar does something else. It just What do you think refined sugars can do that with yeasts? Low hydrochloric acid. Low hydrochloric acid means that you can't break down your food, so it's also interferes with this. Something else too. Lining our cells a little on the villi, a little receptor sites. And that receptor site, it takes the sodium, the glucose through, but it will not accept the glucose unless it comes with a molecule of sodium. If we're on a salt-free diet, we can't absorb our nutrients. What I love about Celtic salt is it's a hand herbs with sea salt. It's collected in the old Celtic tradition. And the French government acknowledge the value and have made the 4.5 million acres in Brittany a heritage site. Because we should be taking salt into our body the way God made it, and that is in the seawater. So this hand harvested sea salt is this perfect balance of minerals that our body needs.
So it's got enough iodine for someone who doesn't eat fish?
Are you ready for the iodine?
Yes.
In those lumps of Celtic salt, you know when you buy it, it's moist, and that moisture is 3 magnesiums that helps to maintain the minerals. And in those little crystals, when you bite in it, then mineral gases are released, including iodine. And they will get you sleep.
So you need to crush it and bite into it, then you need to chew it also then? Not just like melt
So
it?
when you bite it, picture in your brain the release of those mineral gases. If you take iodine in, it's only in your body for 20 minutes.
Oh.
So if before every glass of water you're biting those crystals, then you're continually getting micro amounts of iodine. That's all you need.
How many times a day do you suggest to take those something?
So I take the crystals of Celtic salt before every glass of water, so it's 8 times a day.
Wow.
How much?
That size of a sesame seed, I probably have twice that. But if you're not used to it, then start small. So when we look at the heart, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. And can you see that you're absorbing out glucose out of the gut and into the blood? We need salt. And what's a baked potato without salt? What's avocado, tomato, on sourdough bread without salt? Our palate tells us we need salt.
Interesting. Is it superior than the pink Himalayan salt then?
Is it superior? Far superior.
Wow.
Because of those crystals and the micronutrients, the microminerals. So the Himalayan salt does not have the iodine. So how can we heal the leaky gut? The first step is you've got to stop. You've got to stop the medications. That's not easy to do. I've met 5 young men in my travels who've had serious life-threatening accidents. Surgery did the best it could, but now they're in chronic pain. And what's the future when you're in your late 30s and you're on heavy painkiller medication? What's the future?
Death.
Is-
Yeah. We're all going to die. Death too early. You know, life should be good. Life should be very good. Agreed? And so what these young men did, they looked at the future, they realised it wasn't looking good, so they took control. And they reasoned thus, that around every vertebrae, around every bone, there's tendons, ligaments and muscles. And they reasoned thus that if they built up and worked out intensely those muscles, they would compensate for the injury. Not only that, increasing blood supply to them actually nourishes the bones that are injured. Now, this is hard work, but each of those young men are in their early 40s now. In fact, I met one in North Carolina, I met one in Tasmania. They're from all over the world. But they are now medication-free and pain-free and managing well. Isn't that good news? But do you know what they had to do? They had to nourish the cells with peak nutrition. They had to keep the cells well hydrated. They had to make sure they were getting 8 hours sleep every night. And you see all the basics. But they have to work out every single day. What are you prepared to put into this? And there are pain clinics that teach this. There's not a lot of them, but there are pain clinics that teach it. And one young man, in fact, this young man doesn't mind me telling you this, he is the owner of the Simple Needs Bakery. They're making 6,000 to 8,000 loaves a day of this amazing bread. And he sustained serious injury when he was, I think, 30. And he would be early 40s now. So I'm at his house 2 years ago. And you get a handstand like this. And then he went down from the handstand like that. Wow. That is core strength. But he's medication free and pain free. But he has to work. He has to work at that. What an incredible body we've got that has a possibility. And only a few months ago, at my 19-year-old granddaughter's graduation, I met a man with the same story. And this man would be early 60s, and I was happy to talk to him. Well, I hadn't talked to anyone, but I was keen to talk to him because for a 60-year-old, he was incredibly well built. He was very fit and very strong muscle in the system, I can tell. And he told me the same thing, that he said he was taught in a pain clinic in Minneapolis. And he said what they taught him was, as he builds up those muscles, you've got to work them, work them, work them. More blood supply goes to the muscle, and they have found that it actually causes the bone to regrow. We've got a body with an incredible inbuilt ability to heal itself, and I'm constantly amazed at stories people tell. But it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. This is not a half-hour stroll every day. So with the medications that are causing the breakdown in the gut flora, the imbalance and the leaky gut, it's important to look at what the medication is, what it's being taken for, and what can be used as an alternative. If someone's on heavy duty pain medication and they just stop as they are immediately, they're in a mess. Little by little, starting to implement what is necessary to be able to get off the medication. Hippocrates said all disease begins in the gut.
Did a doctor you say a pain relieving tincture?
Pain relieving tincture, not really.
Oh, I thought I heard you say that. I guess I wanted to hear you say that. Natural stuff.
People want a herbal alternative to cortisone, a herbal alternative to a strong painkiller. No, we really haven't got it. There are some things that can help, but I think as you'll realise as we go through this, it's all inside our body. It's actually all in here. Everything we need. Just knowing how to access it and knowing what to do to access it. So once the nutrients are absorbed halfway through down in the gut, all that is left is the insoluble fibre, or that's all that should be left. But as you can see, because of what's happening in the stomach, in the small intestine, with the breaking down of food, with many people, we've got undissolved or unbroken down nutrients getting past that. It's going back to, remember what we talked about in the mouth? because they don't know what goes in, where it goes in, how much goes in, how long it's in, and the environment in trouble. You can see that greatly affects all the way down. So probiotic, that will help to rebuild gut flora, and also some probiotic foods. Sauerkraut is a great one.
Sorry, what was that?
Sauerkraut,
Sauerkraut?
which is your cultured cabbage, and also yogurt, and you can get many different types of yogurts today, organic soy yogurts, cashew yogurts, almond yogurts, coconut yogurts, all for those who like eating dairy as long as it's organic, and miso. Miso is a cultured soybean or cultured rice, cultured barley. That's the paste, gives a nice flavour to your soups and stews.
Dairy's okay?
Dairy's okay, I'll leave it up to you, but if you do eat dairy, it must be organic.
Okay.
But I'll leave it up to you. I personally eat plant foods. So these probiotic foods, they do much to help rebuild the gut flora that has been compromised by all the things we eat. And there is a herb that contains some healthy bacteria, and that's aloe vera.
What is it? What's that?
Aloe vera. I think every single home should have an aloe vera plant. But you can buy aloe vera water, juice, yeah. And you'll notice that it's a little slimy. Well, that's exactly what the lining of our gastrointestinal tract is, slimy. And if you have an aloe vera leaf, then you cut off the top inch, and then you watch how long it takes to grow a skin, 1 hour.
What? Wow.
Just a thin skin over there. And that's because aloe vera contains a growth stimulant. And because aloe vera contains a growth stimulant, it stimulates rapid healing in the lining of our gastrointestinal tract. And that's from our throat way down to the other end. So it's quite a remarkable herb. Yeah?
What's the best way to ingest it?
What's the best way to ingest it? You can buy it as a drink. And if you have the plant, you just use the inside gel, the clear gel. You might blend it up in your smoothie. You might mash it up with some lemon water.
So skin it, knead it.
Skin it and eat it. It's not the most exciting taste. Now, what we do is the Mountain Healthy Tree, because we've got probably about 10,000 plants. I found a place that it liked, and if you find a place that it likes, it just gets out of control. And we don't have snow. I'm halfway down the east coast of Australia, so we don't have snow. And we do get frost, so I have it next to the house, which protects against frost. So my first bed was 2 foot wide, now it was about a yard wide, because it just has multiplied out of control, because it's got a growth stimulant. I want to explain what we do at Misty Mountain, because we've got so much. So we pick the leaf in the afternoon, and we just sit the whole leaf into a glass jar, like that, and then yellow slime, it drains out of it. And this yellow slime lines the leaf. And if you take that, you get diarrhea. That's irritating. So you don't want the yellow slime. But we sit it in the jar for 1 hour. And after 1 hour, we take it out, the yellow slime's all out when we wash it. And we chop that leaf up into little slices like that. And we put all of those little sections in 1 quart of water. It looks really pretty because they just sort of float around. They've got the green on the outside and gel on the middle. And we set it in that overnight, and in the morning, the water is a little thick. And we pour the water into glasses, put a squeeze of lemon, and that's when our guests drink first thing in the morning. Call it aloe water. So that's another way you can prepare it. And all through the day, as they drink it, it gets less and less. We just fill it up with more water, But to help with the flavour, we put mint leaves in it. They're mint leaves.
What are flavor?
Mint leaves. Yeah, we've got a lot of mint growing at just around too. So that's how the person can drink the aloe water all through the day, if you've got the leaf. Every home should have one because it's the best for a burn. So that's one way to boost the healing and the lining of the gut if someone has what's called leaky gut, and also slippery elm. And remember, slippery elm is the powder bark of the slippery elm tree. And when you mix it with water, it goes thick, and it coats and soothes the whole of the lining of the gastrointestinal tract all the way down.
Do you still recommend to combine this with Leon with
To combine the slippery elm with myrrh, only if there's severe irritation. And in my next lecture, when we look at the colon, we'll look at that in detail. So in my next lecture, when we go to the colon, we're going to be looking at Crohn's disease, irritable bowel colitis, and also constipation on the other hand. But I wanted to target where the absorption of the nutrient happens and what influences that. And this is why I don't advise a lady have antibiotics in pregnancy, because it greatly compromises her gut flora, and she will give that compromised gut flora to her baby. Obviously, it's a life-threatening situation, maybe so, but many times when a woman's trying to take antibiotics, it's not life-threatening. And the woman's told if she has strep B,
I'm sorry, a woman's hair.
if she has strep B in pregnancy, she must take an antibiotic or the baby might die at birth. So she's taking this from fear. I have never known, and there's no report of any baby dying. Got that? And when I was pregnant 6 times, I was never tested for strep B. It's a recent thing. Have you noticed? It's one of the reasons I was banned in Australia, because of what I'm telling you right now. And what they do is a breathalyzer test, and if she's got strep B, she said you've got to take antibiotics or your baby will go, no, I wasn't pregnant. Well, the baby will go blind. There's no report of the baby going blind or dying at birth because the mother has strep B. You see this? Now, if she is a little concerned, she can take olive leaf extract 3 times a day. And so when I was in the tribunal, inquisition, being questioned, this is one point. I would not agree with them, and they all madly voted down, and I thought, oh, I've just sealed my fate. I cannot agree with you. Because when I was having babies, no one was tested for strep B, and nobody died from strep B. You see, the balance in our gastrointestinal tract is important. But you've got to have a look at why is there an imbalance. And as I showed you, you can restore the balance. That's the good news. We live in an amazing body with an inbuilt ability to heal itself. If someone's been on long-term antibiotic use, it will take a lot longer to revive and recover. But just keep at it, because under the right conditions, the body just does heal. That's the good news. Yes?
Would you do anything different for a child?
No, I wouldn't do anything different for a child, because they're the same as us, just smaller. And that's why when a child says they're starving between the meals, they're usually bored. Give them water, they won't die.
So if her mom gave in to the fear and took the antibiotic prescription, should she give her baby probiotics now?
If the mother gives in to the fear and does take the antibiotics, should she give her baby probiotic? Yeah. What she can do is she can just paint a little probiotic on the nipple to the morning feed. My time is up, it's 25 to 12, so we're going to have a break now. And we'll come back at 12 o'clock. And as we come back at 12 o'clock, we're going to enter the last section of the gastrointestinal tract, which is the